You ever see a video game that has such a cult following that you're like, I need to try this game out, and when it comes to the playing of said game, you just don't get it. You're just like, what is this game? Like, why do people like it? What an absolute hot mess of jank and just random ideas jumbled up together and technical difficulties and blah blah blah. That was pretty much my initial impression of Deadly Premonition. That was because I played the PS3 version to begin with. It was. And if you don't know, that game runs at like 15 FPS at all times. It's absolutely awful. It is. And I couldn't get too far into it before I dropped it. And I was just like, you know what? I don't get it. I'm not going to go online and start shitting on it or anything. I just don't get it. I don't understand what people are seeing with this game. So obviously I've got a Series X, so it's got back compat on it. And Deadly Premonition was on there. I've got the disc, but I even bought the digital version just for ease of use. And I got this, I can't remember when I got it, but it was a long time ago. And it's just kind of like sat in my library, and I'm just like, I'll get around to it eventually. So I played it, and all I'm going to say is that I totally get it. I am officially part of the cult of Deadly Premonition. I've brought myself into the cult. The game should not be good. It really shouldn't. And I can't recommend it to people either. I'm not going to sit here and be like, you know what, you need to play Deadly Premonition. You've got to, it's got to appeal to you, man. It's got to be one of those games where you look at it and you're like, maybe there's something there for me, because honestly, it's janky. It's not exactly a good-looking game. It's got really dated animations. When I was playing it, I was like, this reminds me of like really classic survival horror games. They've got really janky animations when the characters are talking, like weird voice acting, weird lines in the voice acting. The visuals are terrible, animation's terrible. The way characters are talking and the waving the hands around, I was like, this seems like a PS1, PS2 survival horror game. And I looked into it, and apparently it did start development on the PS2. It's just they couldn't afford to do both platforms, so they dropped the PS2 and only released the 360 version. Apparently it was a PS3 version in Japan of the original build of the game. Obviously, I've never played that version. I played the director's cut version, which is fucking awful. It is. And if you're like me and you've played that version and you hate Deadly Premonition because of it, just know that the 360 version is the way to go. But yeah, what is Deadly Premonition? It is a survival horror, investigation, video game, open world. If you've played a game called Shenmue, which is not a horror game, but it's still like a life sim, you go around, you do menial tasks, you investigate, you get into fights. Very much like that, where the characters have got their own personalities and you talk to them and they've got their own things they're doing throughout the day. Same thing here. You're talking to different people in the town. They're doing different things throughout the day. You can do missions for them, side missions, get extra gear and all this bollocks. And then at random points you go into the other world, which is just hard to explain, and you're fighting these like zombie ghost things that are called shadows, apparently. I don't feel like that was mentioned in game that they were called shadows, but they're called shadows according to the internet. They're really weird. The atmosphere is actually like really good when you're in the other world. At first I was like, this is so cheesy, and it's full of cheese throughout. It doesn't matter what Francis is saying, what Francis York Morgan, whatever he's saying, it's just, he's nuts, he's insane, but the way he responds to people, it's so fucking funny. It is. He treats people like utter shit. He just talks down to them, and it's like, this guy is great. What a great main character. You drive around the town, as you can tell, with the worst physics engine in the world. The cars handle like absolute garbage. And I know this sounds like I'm shitting on the game, and it's like, why do you like the game then if it's so bad? I don't know. I have no idea, but I was engrossed from start to finish. I loved all the characters. I loved the storyline. I loved how batshit crazy it was. I loved the soundtrack. The soundtrack was amazing. It's fucking great from start to finish. If you know me, when it comes to video games, I like video games to know what they are. Like, you need to understand you're a video game. Don't be heavy on stupid cinematic cutscenes and making me walk and talk, even though this game does that. I know this sounds like I'm being a hypocrite, but there's a video game underneath that. This game functions a lot like Alan Wake 2. It does. Alan Wake 2 is Deadly Premonition with a way bigger budget. It's the best way to describe it. But where Alan Wake 2 doesn't have these quirky B-movie characters and batshit insane scenarios and boss fights, and it's just absolutely insane, and I'm never ever gonna forget this storyline. It's that good. No, you know what it is? It's that good. It might be fucking silly, it might be absolute nonsense, but it's good. It's pure entertainment from start to finish. It is. The voice acting, even though the lines are like weird, even the voice acting's good. I had no problem with the voice acting. This just appealed to me on every level. I've had an absolute blast with Deadly Premonition. I kind of want to force myself through that PS3 version just so I can see the director's cut different cutscenes, because obviously this is like the bare bones version of the game. I hear some different things online about whether you should even bother with that version of the game. And I hear that version is on Steam, which I looked at. I was going to buy it on Steam because obviously you can get the frame rate right. But apparently it's like an absolute mess and you've got to pretty much mod the game to get it to work. And I was like, I don't know about that. But Deadly Premonition 2 is on Steam, so that's looking like a buy for me personally. But yeah, Deadly Premonition is up there for me now. It's got random scenarios throughout. You're doing puzzles, you're fighting zombie things, you're hiding from a boss, you're getting chased by a boss, you're investigating murders. It's clearly like heavily inspired by Twin Peaks, but Twin Peaks is like it's like a TV show that felt like it wanted to be a horror, but it's not really a horror. It's just being weird. This is like if Twin Peaks was actually a horror. If that makes sense. That's the best way to describe it. It's got a lot of influences, but Twin Peaks is clearly the main one. It is. It's just, it's nuts, man. I had an absolute blast with it. I did, and like I said, I kind of want to do it again. And it's not a short game either, so it's like, damn, man. I don't know. Honestly, if you've had any like inkling of playing it at all, you've got to play the Xbox version. You can't be playing it on PS3 and Steam and shit. Those are messy. Got to be playing on Xbox. It is. It's just the way it's got to be. It's a shame. Hopefully it gets remastered and it actually is good this time and it's not a mess. Although I didn't hear too much about the Switch version. Maybe the Switch version's alright. Should have looked into that, but I'm in the cult now. So am I. Alright, people, if you like content like this, these types of games, if you love Deadly Premonition, subscribe, because this is the channel for you. But yeah, that's all I got, people. I'll catch you later.